Anyway, I'll read the introduction. For any new listeners, this was written by Dezert-Owl. What do we call you? Decoder extraordinaire. Yeah, anyway, about 10 years ago. And it's happening now. Anyway, it's called The Signs of the Times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time, who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world, about who the giants really were, and the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the earth-based misnomered UFOs, which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cyber code has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control and ancient art, and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us all full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it, but they are cleverly leaving us in the dark. Hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water to tainted vaccines to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate, but they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that was by Dezert-Owl. Welcome, Desert. How's it going?
It's going, Ninja. Good to be here, and thank you for that introduction. And the world keeps turning. Of course, the flat Earth people don't think so. That's okay. I guess there are spins in another direction. Could be. So you had? Did you say you had something of interest that you were seeing of late before the program started?
I do. I just want to get another sound check from Lynn. Okay, 5-5. There's a delay.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not a good sound check.
I just moved the microphone a bit closer. It's still, like, on my screen, it still could be louder. And you're as close to the microphone as I can get you. G'day Shelley, how's it going? Good to see you here. Yeah, I've been noticing, like, the more I try and stop looking at the sky, the more weird it gets, and the more temptation there is to look and the urge to film everything. But I've actually stopped filming because I've got way too much. Like, there's so many weird things that I haven't bothered to upload because there's just too much. So anyway, I managed to stop, but I'm still seeing. And over the past, probably mostly the past 6 months, since I started hearing more of the frequencies and becoming more attuned to the frequencies, and started researching and noticing connections in the sky, as well as with everything else to do with this world. Where was I going with that? Sorry. Anyway, frequencies. Yeah. Yeah, repeating patterns, frequencies. Okay, this relates to the shapes in the sky, and they're also the same repeating patterns that I'm seeing in everything in the physical world, but we'll stick with the sky to keep it simple. Okay, the main repeating shapes in the sky, from tiny little ones related to the directed energy, right up to the big ones in the clouds, are V, O and U. And I noticed something with the V. I've been filming some really strange stuff, like probably about a couple of weeks ago when I got that V manner on film, and there's everywhere through the sky there's the little tiny flashy ones, little tiny ones, and I saw the connection today. There's little V's in the sky, and they are the directed energy because it got caught on film with the transformers being blown up, and the blue flashy sky when all that was going on. Yeah, there's V shapes that were firing at the transformers. That's the little V's I see in my sky. I caught a V manner in my sky, and the connection I see is, I don't know if I can explain this right, but we have the A in the sun, and the V represents, the V is the duality, and represents the physical world, yeah? And it's also the first letter in the word V manners, which Aryan technology, which is man, which is of this world, and I just see it all connecting. That's there, yeah. So I'll stop now.
Well,
Yeah.
the V also symbolizes and that was very well. You've got a good visual on the
and the Wi-Fi
symbol.
signal. Sorry, Wi-Fi signal. I forgot that one. That's a V. Yeah.
And so also the V symbolizes the birds flying in V formation. And that's most likely why they call it V-manas.
Wow.
Because they're flying through the air like an arrow. Like an arrow has the point on it. And so that's where that
No.
In the, at that time they were just round.
Yeah.
Like little stars in the sky and round, what we classically call UFOs.
Yeah.
Round.
I see the V as
space.
I see the V. Sorry, I see the V as part of the frequency, like the frequency of this world. Yeah, anyway, sorry. Please continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you're I'm not sure what was the bottom line in your presentation. Was that you just you've seen enough of it? Was that the point you were making?
I just like went from one dot to the next dot, connecting it all. Like the V was the common element. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, the thing that to me is so tragic, because there's a lot of wonderful people, that we find we come to know on the YouTube. They're doing great work, and they're all observing the natural phenomena that's happening in our world. And it's important to be aware and to wake up to it. But at one point, once we get the picture and we know what's going on, the question is, where are we going to put our energy? Because when it says that many seek to enter into the royal house of the sun or the kingdom of heaven, and that very few are going to be saved, and that our days are numbered beyond any shortness than we could ever imagine. If we got to live to be old, our days would still be short. But now that we know that the world is going down in a hurry, with the methane gas that's being released, with the heating up of the oceans, with the ozone layers destroyed, the UVB and UVC, there's really only time for one observation, and that's to go inward and to connect with the one who made all things, because he's our only hope.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And most people will not be able to unravel the great mystery and find transcendence, because they're still caught up in the illusory world and in the physical lower nature. They are trapped inside a serpent that doesn't want to set them free, and they have to crush the serpent beneath their heels.
Yeah.
They have to, and that's one of the in the Gospel of Thomas, one of the 114 sayings of Yeshua that's in there. It's in the Nag Hammadi library, in that big collection. It said in there that the kingdom of heaven is like people, or like children who took their clothing off and danced upon them. And what it meant was, of course, with the innocence of children, that our clothing is our body, and our body is what compels us, moves us. We have to feed it every day. We have to groom it. We got to take care of it. How's that serpent looking today? It's not looking too good. Come on, serpent. Let's dress you up and make you look pretty. And while it's all an illusion, because while people are making themselves look good on the outside, they're a car wreck on the inside, and they're broken, they're hurt, and they're lonely, they're without knowledge, and or ignorant. And ignorant means to ignore the things that are right in front of them, and that we have to see the grand illusion that the material world is, and then to crush it beneath our feet, and to simply connect with the one who made all things. How could there be anything more powerful and greater than connecting with the one who made all things, Yeshua, on behalf of Yahweh, and they are one in the great mystery. And that's what to me, when I see a lot of these wonderful people doing the patriotic thing, or exposing the corruptions, that the psychopathic wickedness of the secret societies and the false religions, what they're doing, and at the same time they're so regimented in their work. I know what has been revealed to me in this the code, the breaking of the code of the diction. I have two quotes here. I have just wrote this past week. The first one is, the universe is a sacred intelligence known as the great Elohim. Elohim being the more correct form of Elohim. The Elohim. And there's the all love right there. A-L-L-O-V-E-H-A-Y-M plural. The all love Haim. And there we find the word olive. Why? Because the olive is the olive oil that lights the lamp so that we can see, and it is food that we can eat and it is the symbolic of the anointing of truth. And then I wrote down, he who controls your words controls your thinking. And then one example would be, the word hours. I just got, because I'm studying the Indo-Germanic and the symbolism and cross-referencing all these books, the word hours is a code, Hours, because it is actually O''O''ARS, the O-ors. The O-ors. Why? Because it keeps going around, doesn't it? It's like a circle. It keeps going around. It's not, the H is the word the, and there's two O's in there, and it's the O-ors. The oars, you can see the oars where they go around in the ship. They row the oars. They go up and down, and they go up and down into the water and out of the water through the air and going around making circles. It is the O-ors. And that's how they hide. They had to hide the pictures because they want us stuck in the left hemisphere of our brain, which is the slave side of the brain that doesn't get pictures. Just like, when I talked about how they lied to us about, the positive, negative. We talked about that. Or the four elements. They lied to us about three of them. Actually, only one of them was correct. Water. We can't deny the element of water, but the other one was matter, not earth. It was matter, all physical nature. And then the fire was the big lie because there was no fire. Fire is destruction of elements, and it's light. And then the other one is the not air. That's another lie because it is the O, the oxygen. There's more oxygen element in our universe than any other within our below, our atmosphere here. So one more lie, okay, just like those lies, is regarding how many senses do we have, Ninja? We were taught in school. How many senses do we have as what they call a human being, or what I would call a sentient being? How many senses?
5. According to...
Okay, that's what we're told, right?
Yes, according to school. Yes.
How about they left out the most important one? We got smell, taste, hearing, touch. Let's see,
taste.
Hearing.
Did you say taste? Taste?
Taste, hearing, smell, touch. I gotta write them down. All right, let's try this. Sight. I forgot sight.
Oh, yeah. That's an important one.
Smell,
yes.
Taste, and touch. Okay, so there's the 5. But what about, wait a minute. Do we not have another sense?
Yes, we do.
What protects you every day from danger out there in the world?
Instinct.
Well, it's called reason.
Okay.
Right? Your ability to reason. Reason is the ray of the light sun, the ray of the sun.
Okay.
Sun.
Okay.
You see? And so you've got the ability to reason, and that is the most important sense of them all. Those others work for your big one. So they lied to us again, right?
Yes, they did.
Right out the gate. Okay, and we never got it. We never really... Wait a minute, I can think too. Wait a minute, isn't that a sense?
Yeah, and they're taking that away. That's what they've been working very hard at taking away, and that's what they've done to most of the planet.
Yeah.
Now.
So he who controls your words controls your thinking, and so this is the problem. And so we're, and I know the grace of the Father is great, but my point is that with the people that are caught up in the observing physical phenomena, which we can do all day long, and it will never end, until the world ends.
Yeah.
That we have to look inward because there's an unfolding, unlimited universe that connects us with the beginning to the end, and causes the transcendence that was intended for our being on this earth. It's not the only thing to observe is the natural phenomena created by the great Elohim for our ability to communicate and to connect with Him. In other words, all of nature is speaking, and therefore to interpret it is what's important. Not to look at what the governments are doing. Like they want us to watch the next political charade, just like it looks like Venezuela now is going to be the front line for a battle between the U.S. and Russia and China, as I just got wind of yesterday. And I'm not going to follow the drama because I don't have the time for it, but I did hear it, and therefore it makes sense to me that that's the next drama that will play out. And yet that's not what we should be focused on. In fact, there's a scripture that says
distraction.
something like a workman concerns himself not with the affairs of the world. Why? Because that's the darkness. That's the outer darkness. We want to be in the light of the sun, of the new creation, of the golden age of light, of truth and reason. And when we're there, we know that all this nonsense continues. It's always been going on. It never is going to end. It's like watching a cartoon. Are we going to watch cartoons and wonder if Mickey Mouse is going to actually marry Minnie? You know, do you think Mickey Mouse is marrying Minnie Mouse this week? I hope so. Man, I love those two. You know, they should get married. But you know, they got everybody in the delusion, and so we've got to break free from it. And because we the ability to transcend this world and to, in other words, the lies that we're revealing here in the code is phenomenal. Like, let me give you one today. I've got some things to share. I don't even know which way I want to go first, but I think it'll be with this one, the story of the real name of Edom. Edom, as you know, is you may know, is on the eastern side of the Jordan River, and so we hear the word all the time. But because there's so many stories in the Old Covenant, and there's so many connections to make, and if you're not living it every day, if you're not breathing it every day, then they become stories that are, you know, like Aesop's fables. You know, we may remember hearing an Aesop fable, but you know, most people don't take the time to be immersed in this journey, this cosmic journey, to get the picture of who they are, where they are, when they are, and why they are, and just assume because some preacher told them that they're saved, well, therefore I've got my indulgence, I paid for it, so you know nothing can happen to me now. When it is a work and a walk and coming into another realm of separateness from this world. It's a separate realm. It's a separate people. Israel was called a separate people when he brought them out of Meitzar, falsely called Egypt, and then those who are in the little Asia, the Yeshua, they are also a separate people. They are no longer engaging in the affairs of this world with other people, other than through business, the business affairs they have to deal with, and then in other limited capacities, because we are a enlightened race that is waiting for transcendence. We are here ready to leave. We're good to go because we know this world is a deceiver and wants to destroy us and everything else within it. And as we see clearly, they've destroyed our world. So Edom, or Edom, E-D-O-M, and there's all these forms, you know, that are like each other, like Eden sounds like Edom, and there's relative natures in there, what I'm not going to, because the main thing I want to show is how this word is not Edom, or Edom, Edom. It is Adam. It is Adam, A-D-A-M, but correctly spelled A-D-O-M. Adam is another corruption on the code, because there has to be an A, has to be an O, because these are prime vowels that are part of the diction that was original and that has been destroyed. And so it's a code that reminds us of the root. And so at Adam, A-D-O-M, and it means the eye of judgment. A is the eye. The dome is what we see on a courthouse, what we see on the Capitol, and it's a symbol of the earth, and it means judgment, because down here we have to put our thinking caps on and use judgment for guiding our lives, for moving in these dark waters, in this very dangerous world where the sharks are prowling, wanting to eat us alive. And so the thing was, I knew that it was Adam, but I didn't have the connection. Why is it? Because I hadn't seen the whole story. In other words, I've read the parts of the story all separately, but I didn't have it all together on the table so that I could see it clearly why this is a fact. But I just finished rereading again for the third time the book of Jasher, Yeshar, more correctly, Y-A-S-H-A-R, Yeshar, I think is the way to say it, Yeshar. And but Jasher, you can get it at artisanpublishers.com, artisanpublishers.com, and it's about a $12 book, and it's the story behind the story and everything from Genesis all the way through the book of Joshua. Okay, so it's a must read, and the other part of the story is there. The part they took away from you is there, and so the story that we find there is that after the great flood and the bodies of Adam and Keva were taken on the ship and were brought onto the other side of the flood and buried by Noah and his family. And but in the process of bringing the body across with the flood, they also brought their clothing, which was the first skins of clothing that were made, probably lamb skins, if I remember right, that were made by the great bull of Haim for them to cover themselves right after the fig leaves. And so Nimrod, the great, who's known as the great hunter, captured, stole the clothing from his father, and I don't remember clearly all the names, so it's not important from that point. But he stole from either Cush or from Ham. I can't remember now. It may be that Ham had stolen the clothing, and then Nimrod gets a hold of it. And so Nimrod puts the clothing of Adam on, who was known as the Aram, and I'm going to talk about that in a second because I got a bigger scoop on it now, a bigger scope on it, and so Nimrod, he puts on the clothing of Adam, and he takes on a persona of power, whether it's real or in his own ego. We will never know, but it's most likely it was his ego, because now I'm the powerful hunter. I am the Aram. I am the star ram, because I have the clothing on of the first Aryan, and so what happens later on in the story is we find Esau, who is correctly Yah, meaning the royal eye that goes round. He's also a great hunter. And he's red, so he represents the Canaanites, who are the warfaring class. It was just an enigma within the genealogy that he was born red and hairy, and it was to tell us a story again about the original story. You see, so an enigma occurs, and through the Aryan line comes a redhead spotted, because it did originally with Cain. Cain had the stain of blood, and once they were cursed, all his family were redhead and spotted. They're the Canaanites, also the Phoenicians, and the warfaring class for the Aryan Brahmin priesthood. As I've told this story before. And so Esau, correctly, Esau, kills Nimrod, and so he takes from him the clothing of Adam, and he puts it on his own body, and or at least he's in possession of it. Whether he wears it or not, I don't remember that part of the story. But now he's in possession of the first original clothing of the Aryan line of Adam, and so then we find out that when his brother Yaakov, which means the seed of light, comes back from Mesopotamia into Ganon, the promised land, then it says in there that Esau moves into Edom. He moved into Edom on the other side of the Jordan. And once I saw that, it was like, there it is. There's the answer. I knew Edom was Adam, but I didn't have any way to give an analysis why it would be called Adam. But there it is. Now, so let me ask you: after Esau, correctly, Esau would kill the mighty hunter Nimrod, who had the clothing of the first Aryan parent Adam, and he takes it from him and moves into the eastern side of the Jordan Valley, and he names a town. Do you tell me, Ninja, do you think it's Edom, or do you think it's Adam?
Wow.
Well, the point is, would he want to name the town other than what it was that he identifies with?
Yeah.
Right? He identifies with his first father. In other words, he lost his inheritance.
Yeah.
He sold his birthright to his brother. His brother then steals his blessing. What's he got left other than a rag
and
a name?
Yeah.
You see? And so the town that he founds is called Adam, and he's claiming the inheritance of his great father, of the first, the first Aryan, who was the star ram,
Yeah.
And so this is the point, that the priesthood, those controlling our thinking, have changed the names of places and things, people, and we're reading a child's tale, a fictional story that has hiding behind it a power story. A power story. And that's exactly what this story about the Aram is. Because, and as I'm going to get into it later, then we're going to see that, because if you remember, I said that in one of the two earlier broadcasts, that Adam, when it said that, he being the Navigator, not the serpent, but the Naga, which is an abbreviation for the Navigator, said that he was more subtle. But when I looked up the word subtle, there it was, the Aram. And I said, wait a minute, and they abbreviated, took out the V, and it's the Avram, and it means he's the star ram. And then I immediately realized that it was the same title that was given to Abraham, who was first called Avram, okay, Abraham, but Abraham, the B is a corruption for the V, and it's Avram, right? Yeah. So they have the same title because they are the beginning and the heads of their tribe. And so this past week I went to the resale shop and they found one of those special $1 deals where they had the New Bible Dictionary. And this is my third one. I got 3 of them now. And I saw one by Erdman's there, and I knew it was a good one. It's 1,400 pages. And so I looked up, in each one of these dictionaries to cross-reference, because when one will have part of the definition, the other one will have the other part. And I had read the first 2, but not one of them told me what would be, in essence, the most important element within this story. And here's how it goes. Let me just turn on a little more light here. Okay. And so the son of Shem, I need a little more light. Hang on. Yeah, well, after you get 60, you need a little more light. So, all right. So,
I have so many wow! I'm wowing already, Desert. I've written some things down already, and just
wonderful.
please
Okay.
continue. Yep.
Yeah. So the son. I'm going to start in the definition, but I think it's B. So I'm going to read the first paragraph, and I think it'll come into B. So the son of Shem, who is correctly Asham. Shem also is the son of Nova and Melchizedek. So named with Elam. There, another corruption again. Assyria, and others in Genesis 10, 22, and 23, and 1 Chronicles 1:17, having 4 others grouped under him. And by the way, this is the definition of Aram, or Aram, but we would pronounce it Aram, missing the V for Avram, and then the word for Aramaean. So the word Aramaean, you can hear Aram, and not only that, but the word Aramaic starts with Aram.
That's what I noticed as soon as you said that. Yeah, sorry.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, the power, the star ram, about our communication and why this code is unfolding. Having 4 others grouped under him, regarding Shem, on this association of Aram with the eastern and northeastern parts of the ancient East, see section below. Now this is B. Now get this, here it is. A personal name borne by individuals and heads of later clans. So the word Aram is a title. It's not a name. It's a title. Like your name is Sharon, but yet you got the title Ninja, right? You're the ninja because you're coming on. You were the Sky Watcher coming on, showing the sky and all that. So you had a title that you gave yourself, and so just like my legal name, obviously my legal name is not Dezert-Owl. Dezert-Owl is a spiritual name, and so I identified with it back 40 years ago or more, and took on the title because I was true to the calling where it says good name is to be chosen over the wealth of the world, or that he will give you a new name that nobody can name. And so here it is. Here's the smoking gun. The Avram, is a personal name borne by individuals and the heads of later clans. You see? so there it is. So Abraham was a power title because why? He came through the fires of Nimrod. Nimrod put him in the fiery pit in the book of Jasher, for 3 days and 3 nights. He was in the fire, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and did not burn alive. And he came out, and Nimrod honored him and gave him his slave Eleazar, correctly Ulazar. But so what the character type that Abraham, who becomes Abraham, is being the head of a line, a family line, the beginning, a new beginning of something greater that was to be created. And so it was the same with Adam, because he had come down from the throne of the sun and was up there and had named everything on earth, named everything while Yeshua made all things through the process of evolution, because man did not evolve. Man was spontaneously generated and put here, but all of other life evolved. Evolution is part true, and creation is part true. We are the ones who are the created, that were put here as foreigners in a strange garden that is not our home. And we have to identify with that we came from the light and go back to the light. And so as it said, he was taken up to the Atom, falsely called Eden. And then it says that when he fell asleep, he came down and was placed into the garden. Okay, so there's 2 gardens. That's the duality. And so he's called the Star Ram. And so there was no one more powerful. He was the first made on earth before anything else was made, taken up to the throne of the sun. And then after all creation is here, after he named everything and watched Yeshua make everything through the process of evolution, then he comes down, and when he wakes up, he sees his other half. He's a divided creature. The division has occurred. He's in the division of the duality, the male-female, and the light and darkness, and the yin and yang, the in and out, the up and down, the hot and cold, the good and the bad, and the ugly. And so he's regarded as the Abraham, the Aram, because he knows how it all works. He knows the name of all things and can define the cosmos itself. So he's a duplicate or an archetype, just like Yeshua, because Yeshua was the first made in the cosmos. And the first atom, A-T-O-M. And then he's recognized as the great logo, the garden of the atoms, the sun, falsely called Eden. And so anyway, I'm pointing out that this word, which we're going to get into in a little bit, is, well, maybe we should go there now, and because I know I've been trying to get to this other part of the book, and then we got diverted on several occasions for various reasons. So I'll save my beginner just in case I lose my voice. I don't want to move off the story now. I'm going to stay with it. So let me open up now my companion Bible, and thanks to a wonderful supporter, and which I knew the books that I needed to be able to discover this stuff. After all these years of preparation and having books, stolen and losing things along the trail in my journey, and so when I got these tools, I immediately knew where to look, and as a researcher, and so literally this story, Bullinger, I think Bullinger is also talking in his own code, because if he says it like it is, he would be discredited, and so he's conveying the story in a way that you have to read between the lines. And so, let me see here, get a little more light coming in. All right. And by the way, they are tuned in right here to the Forbidden History Chronicles on Ninja Cat 111, right, Ninja?
Yes, that is right. I'm just trying to think of your time.
Right. Yeah. And give them my Skype. I'm going to take a voice break real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, what? Am I saying details? Okay.
Yeah, just give out my, if they want to Skype in with a question, we can take a call, and also just real quick give out my details. That way I get a 2-minute break on my voice, okay? Do that.
Okay, all good.
I need it.
Okay. Okay, you can Skype Desert on Free America Radio. I think that's right.
All one word. All
all one word, Free America Radio. I'm not familiar with Skype, but we can do call-ins through Skype with Desert on Free America Radio. If you're not familiar with Desert's work, please check out his channel. It's called the Forbidden History Series on YouTube. There's a link in every description of the Chronicles, all the live streams, all the details are in the descriptions. If you would like to help, donate any size donation towards the greatest, the most, the coolest, the most important transliterational project in history, you can do that via PayPal, or just hit the donate button at www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net. That's also in the description. And you will receive a PDF of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, written by Dezert-Owl. There's also PDFs of the Book of Wisdom, great read, it's one of my favorites, and also a sample of the original Gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary at the back of it. If you would like copies of the PDFs and you cannot afford to donate, just get in contact with us. My email is also in the description, so I can also pass on messages to Desert, and I can get you copies of the PDFs. So yeah, I recommend them. It makes it a lot easier to understand what Desert is talking about, and if you go back and watch some of his earlier live streams starting June 21st last year, 2018, he walks you through it, and it makes it a lot easier to see the big picture. I think that's it. Oh, you can also call Desert on 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. If you're international, just add a +1 at the start. Desert loves being interviewed. Questions, any queries, you can call Desert, you can email me, and I can pass on messages. And if you would like to talk with us live during the stream, just go to Free America Radio for the Skype. Desert, you back yet?
I am, thank you.
Okay, good.
Also, thank you to Lynn for the sound check. She's always there helping out that way, and on my channel as well. And hope to be back up soon. And we're I want to welcome any new listeners that are listening in on the stream as well, of course. And thank you also, Ninja, for putting up. It looks like you got a far better quality this time around, putting up the Forbidden History catalog that I did in 1997 when I had United Truckers defending the Constitution. So thank you.
No worries. I fixed it. I said I would, so I did.
Don't know how you did it, but I'm just glad you did. That was great, because I can read all the details of all the different things I was offering. By the time I produced that catalog and printed 500 copies, my organization was over. I never got to produce the Forbidden History catalog.
Wow. And, I wanted to fix it for you, because I didn't know it was going to because I had to upload it so quickly because I was impatient and wanted it on that stream.
Yeah.
So I didn't know.
I can read that,
yeah, I didn't know how well it would turn out. Sorry.
I want to see if I can read. I want to see if I can read the poem by Ian Murphy. I'm on the one that says "Australia Beware." And this was by my friend. I used to interview a rancher that had 300 acres over there in Australia, and in the middle. And see here, oh Australia. Oh wait a minute, I could just grab the real one. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
I've got the catalog. I don't have to squint. Let me hang on a minute. Let me do that. Since we're being interviewed down under now, I used to interview you folks. Now you folks are interviewing me. And let me pull it out.
Topsy-turvy world.
Yeah, it's upside down, isn't it? Or you're upside down.
No, you're upside down. No, I'm just joking.
No, you're upside down. All right, hang on. Let me open the page here. Okay, and let me do a refresh now that I've stopped the stream. I need to refresh it. All right, so let me find that. That was Ian Murphy was a classic, classic gentleman. He just loved his, loved Australia, loved his people, loved, and I'm trying to find the poem right now. I can't do that. And it was great to work with people like that, that were dedicated, gave their lives to truth, and put their lives on the line every day for, and he's no longer with us. He ended up having a stroke and he's passed away. I can't believe now I'm trying to find it and I can't find the poem. I guess it's near the beginning. Gee whiz, come on. I know I was on a cliffhanger with who the serpent is, but that's okay. We'll just hang on a minute. Here it is. Okay, here it is. So, Australia beware. Oh, Australia, great south continent. Your red heart burns on fire as you face your test of greatness in the times we know so dire. Australian sons and daughters, before you now I stand to warn you of the dangers that threaten our great land. Our vast shores undefended lie prey to foreign foe, while governments disarm the people. We all must tell them no. Our bishops are all silent. Wonder why? On the moral issues grave, O Lord, where is their conscience for the souls they're bound to save? Our nation plagued by treason, in places low and high, our leaders wash hands like Pilate and condemn our land to die. Behold now Hawke and Keating, those men of Judas shame, who do they think they're fooling? All Aussies know their game. We watched them up trip to Moscow to get their orders true. By the way, that was the same with Clinton's. That was the same with Ho Chi Minh. That was the same with, they all go to the double-headed eagle in Moscow. That's where they find, that's the double-headed eagle. There are no enemies. That's how the game is played. We watched them trip to Moscow to get their orders true, the secret societies, Vatican agents, then come back to control us. Sure, they'll get their due. Let's kid ourselves no longer that she will be all right, mate. We'll wake up to the threat now, before it is too late. Let's honor all our warriors who died on foreign shores to save our precious loved ones from that awful cannon's roar. Let's revive the Anzac spirit. That's the Aussie Freedom Scouts, I believe they were called the Anzac.
Yeah, I have something to add to that when you're done too. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. As in crisis now long past, and throw down now the gauntlet and show them we'll hold fast. So Aussies, make your plans now to protect our land and folk, so our children will have freedom and be spared the tyrant's yoke. So let's all pledge our courage, as we did in days gone by. With trust in God Almighty, Australia will not die. That's by Ian Murphy from the Garbo Station out of Colbard, New South Wales. Rest in peace.
That was cool. That was cool. And from my part of the country too. I'm in a different state territory. I'm in a territory that's been put in New South Wales. So yeah, the Anzacs. You reminded me of a video that I watched a few weeks ago. It was made by an Aussie, which makes it more credible. And he showed the evidence on the video. I'll have to try and find the link, and I'll add it to the description, because I can't remember the channel. He was talking about the War Memorial here in Canberra. I've been there several times, so I can back up what this guy said. That Australia has been taken over from the inside, very, very sneaky, by China. They're changing. They want to buy our history. They want to buy the War Memorial, which is mostly dedicated towards the Anzacs, and and the story of Gallipoli. And walking through the War Memorial, I saw, before I say what else was on this video, walking through the War Memorial, I have never seen anything to do with China being allies and fighting with Anzacs anywhere. And that's what China's trying to do. They've actually changed some of it. They're changing our history and claiming that we fought with them, and they want our War Memorial, and they've done this with other things throughout the country, but this one was a big one, and I will look for that link and put it in the description, because it's all part of it. It's all part of the deception. And yeah. It wowed me because it made me realize that, thinking back, I'd noticed a few things, like the amount of things that are owned by China here, and it's just, wow. Anyway, that's what I wanted to add.
Okay, I want to add a little bit to the lie, because there's a interesting element in the. I have the Book of Yahweh, which is from 1,000 years ago, a collection of parts of the Old Covenant that were not manipulated by the priesthood, apparently, and have other parts in it that are not in our received scriptures, which is what we call our received scriptures are a total sham. But it's okay; they can still offer us the light of transcendence, but yet they have been corrupted. That's what we have to take note of, and this is why we're showing the original words and also doing the transliteration, because the original words tell us a story, and so they had to corrupt all the place names and the people names so that we'd never get it. And so, and they reverse things. They reverse things, outright, so that we don't get it. And so one is here out of the story of Genesis, where it says, and because I want to also concur what you're saying about the changing of history. Of course, that's what they did in America. They went to England, and they established a teaching a board of teachers that would teach teachers how to teach American students. And so they literally through the foundations, the Carnegie foundations, the big money foundations that wanted to bring communism full blown into America, they used them then to educate the teachers, and they create the curriculum, and they never use the word republic, or they just it's just a cloak and mirrors history. In other words, the same people that are running our show today are the same Masons that killed the Native Americans. Like they want to call this God's country, but yet it was okay to commit genocide against men, women, and children that were unarmed and surrendered. The way they did over and over. The big sham that somehow we're better than everybody else, when it looks like we're the most disgusting of them all. and then of course they're bringing in the Islamic front as well, and they outlaw the Bible in school, but yet then they teach. They have the Day of Islam where everybody's going to learn to pretend they're being a Muslim, in school, right?
Yeah, we had 7 minutes Bible lesson a week. 7 minutes of Bible lesson a week in primary school. Nothing in high school. Anyway, yeah.
So anyway, here's an interesting one, and talking about. I'll just read into this paragraph because I don't know where to start. I did note it. So, and a royal messenger of Yahweh found her by a fountain. This is about Hagar, who fled from Sarah because she was being run off, in a simple way to put it, by Sarah, because her handmaid now had no respect for her, and so she was being hard on her, and so Hagar ran, and she was by a fountain on the way to Ashur, and the Malik said to her, Hagar, Ashuray's, that's Sarai, Ashuray's handmaid, where are you? Where are you coming from? And where are you going? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Ashuray. And the Malik of Yahweh said unto her, you must see and rid it for yourself. You are with a seed. She was pregnant with Ishmael. I can't say Ishmael anymore because I got the transliteration going. The Ishmael, and you will bear a son, and you will call his name Ishmael, and because Yahweh hath heard your affliction, and then here it says, I have it highlighted, he will be as a wild stallion among men. And his hand, it says actually wild ass. So I'm not sure, if that's correct, but I'll just use that. He will be as a wild ass among men. And that may be the true. I may be wrong with the stallion. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And then it says he will dwell in the presence of his brethren. But the truth was he went away. He didn't dwell in the presence of his brothers, but he went away. And that's why it said, and so what we have is a story that is a metaphor for what is happening today, because he was born of the slave, and that's why he's Me'ul. He's a slave, born of a slave, and so it says that his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand will be against him. And so when I read that, I realized that this was a picture of the world.
Yeah.
You see? Every man's hand is against each other, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And so what it means is that he will not dwell in the presence of his brothers, not that he will dwell in the presence of his brothers, but he will not dwell in the presence of his brothers. Because the brotherhood is of the pure seed, the seed of light, of Yaakov, of Jacob. He will not be in the presence of his pure brothers. There will be a division called light and darkness, and they will be in the outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. But anyone who wants to go into the light, come on down. You can come in. You see how powerful that whole little story right there is.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. So this is how we have to interpret these stories, because they're being told for a specific interpretation and reason, and every one of them is there, okay, in that regard. So now we're on Bullinger in the appendices of the footnotes, and I'm going to back up a little bit now with where I started the highlighting, because I want to make sure that everybody can follow along with this, because this is about the serpent of Genesis, but the serpent, if we go into Genesis, is not the serpent. We were talking earlier about the Algram, the star ram, and now we're going to hear more about the star ram to find out that this guy, who we think was a naked, dumb guy, with his woman, and they could only put fig leaves on. The truth was he was the star ram. He was the first mate of all sentient beings on Earth, the first mate of all all creation, in fact, on Earth, before any other life developed on Earth, Adam was made from the fiery magma and taken up to the throne of the sun, known as the Garden of the Atoms, falsely called the Garden of Eden, because there's two gardens, and anybody who can read even the corrupted Genesis in the first 2 chapters, 3 chapters can get the picture. It's not hard. You have to, I tipped you off. Without the tip-off, you might overlook it, because I overlooked it for decades.
Desert.
And one day I read it 5 years ago and said, how did I miss this? Wait a minute, what? There's 2 gardens. Yeah, okay, here it is. There's the Garden of Eden, and then there's the lower garden that he was placed into. He's taken out of Eden, placed into the lower garden. So we're going to talk about what happened after he came out.
Yeah.
After he was up there 3.5 billion years. Go ahead.
You just made me think of something. Another repeating pattern. I don't know if it means anything. But when you were talking about the real name of Eden before and where it was situated.
Edom.
Yeah.
Edom, which is, I said, with Adam, right?
Yeah, yeah. When you were talking about that, and you just mentioned just then that there's 2 gardens.
Yeah.
2 hours away, 2 hours away from, 2 hours east of me, is a little town called Eden. As far as I know, there's only, I'll have to check, but as far as I know, there's only 2 on the planet. Could that be kind of truth in plain sight? Maybe?
In what sense? I'm sorry.
Truth hidden in plain sight? 2 gardens, like reference to 2 gardens.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
well,
Eden's on the south coast. There's an Eden. Yeah.
There's also Eden in Texas. You know,
Is there? Oh, I didn't know.
Beautiful, you know. So,
yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. So they reuse these words, you know, and whatever they mean. You know, we're not in their minds, but we know they're playing on the theme.
Okay.
And
yeah.
So the serpent is the Naga says Naga. But Naga is an abbreviation for Nagesha Tor, Navigational Tor, and its original word for prophet. That's where the word prophet comes from, and it is navigator, specifically star navigator, one who knows how to navigate in the dark waters of this lower creation. He knew all things about the creation, just like Yeshua spoke about all things when he came to earth at the end of time 2,000 years ago. So here it says, I'm going to pick it up here, that the Nagash, or a serpent, who beguiled, and this is Bulletin talking, okay? The Nagash, or serpent who beguiled Teva, has spoken as a royal messenger of light in verse 14. Have we not in this a clear intimation that it was not a snake but a glorious shining being? That's the Aryan race, blonde hair, blue eye, white skin, apparently a royal messenger to whom Eve paid such great deference, acknowledging him as one who seemed to possess superior knowledge and who was evidently a being of a superior, not an inferior, order. Let me turn on one more light. Hang on. These words are really small in here because he's long-winded. Okay.
I have a question.
Moreover, in the description of the serpent as the king of Tyr, he's getting into something here in a reference. It is distinctly implied that the later being was a supernatural order. The word Tyr is also a code for Azor, and Azor is the prime word for star again.
Yeah. Just
like Czar.
Yeah.
And it is distinctly implied that the latter being was a superior natural order when he is called a cherub. And this is where the word Lord means my sunrise, because you can see the word red is right in the word Lord, Lord. It's an anagram for the word red also. And the sunrise you had an owner, if you were owned, you would call him my sunrise, because you were working for him from day sun up to sundown, and there's more to that story. But the red in the sunrise and sunset, symbolizing the blood of the earth, the red magma that we were made from. All of these are metaphors in the way they thought back then. Okay, so continuing, of a supernatural order, he's called the cherub. Okay, his presence in the atom, the garden of the Elohim, verse 13, is clearly stated as well as being perfect in beauty. Well, he was the perfect archetype, prototype for Earth, and therefore he was the perfect creation. That's why the Aryan, is taller. We know that there's something unique about the Aryan race. Not to say we're better than anybody else, but we're talking about appearances. Appearances are deceiving, are they not? Because it doesn't matter what you look like when it comes down to what you are on the inside.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're talking about prototype of creation that was to come last, because Yeshua was going to come in the Aryan line. And so perfect beauty in verse 12, he being perfect in the ways from the day he was created till iniquity was found in him. There you go. He was perfect in his ways from the day until he was created, until iniquity is inequity. Inequity simply means imbalance, was found in him. And as being lifted up because of his special quality. These all compel the notion that the serpent, who is the Naga, who is the star navigator, who is Adam. And remember when I said that it said that he was more subtle, and when we looked it up, it said Avram, and there's the Aram, which is the title, meaning a star ram, that he was a star ram, was shining, shining one, the Nakash, the Nakesha. Here is the form, there's the word Aisha actually in there, Nakesha, in Genesis 3, and especially because the following words could be addressed to him. Thine heart was lifted up because of your beauty, and you have corrupted your wisdom by reason of your brightness. I will cast you to the ground. I will lay you before the kings, that they may behold you. Verse 17. Behold you for your nakedness is what that means. And there's more about this. Then the words, I'm passing a little bit here. The words can be comprehended only in the mightiest and most exalted supernatural being that the great Elohim ever made, and that was the atom. And this is for the purpose of showing how great would be also his fall, you see. And so, in other words, Adam, this is where, with the Aryan race, we get the fallen watchers, and these are the ones that after they decided they wanted to take over the world and enslave mankind, they had all this knowledge that they inherited from their father Adam. And so this is where, when we look at these documentaries on the internet, where they make these what they call these polygonal megalithic block walls that are so humongous, we don't even know how they lifted the stone, let alone cut the stone, and we're able to put them together with joints where you can't even put a razor blade, or a piece of paper in between the joints. You've seen those before, right, Ninja?
Possibly. I've seen a lot over the years.
Well, we're talking like in Peru, the Paracas, where in the highlands of Peru, Machu Picchu, all of these places, they have these polygonal, like puzzle fit, these blocks that puzzle fit into each other. With strange shapes that it would be like somebody said, by the way, how difficult can we make building a building? Let's make it as difficult as possible. And that's like what they did. They had a genius that was unsurpassed within human nature. And so this is what we're talking about, a knowledge that was inherited, that came down, because what was really going on is that he wanted to make he wanted to use the Aryan to create a modern civilization. It was the Aryan who, with this knowledge of metallurgy, of crossbreeding, of selective genetics, of selective animals. You pick only the best, and you get a special breed, and all of this stuff that they literally engineered our world, these fallen ones, and at the same time, of course, enslaved us. They created the priesthood, and therefore they also knew the story about the one who would come at the end of the world, and so they created the false narrative for the false traditions. The savior of Matzar, falsely called Ija, Osiris, and in the battle with Horus and and Mother Isis, and then in Greece we have Zeus and Jupiter, and the father is Jupiter, Zeus is his son, but yet Zeus is still the supreme god. A direct parallel to the story of Yeshua, and so they instituted all the things that are affecting us today, basically.
Yeah.
The technology that they have, and what they do is they cover their trail, just like you said.
Yeah.
They're changing the history in Australia. Well, that's what they've been doing throughout history, is changing the history. They changed the names of places and things, and also the peoples. And just like they took the Asia-Aryans, or there's another name for it as well, but called them Ass-Aryans, because they thought of them as the asses anyway. They were just their cousins and relatives, and they didn't need them, so they were the asses. Go fight our battles for us, okay? Get rid of those Celtic now. We don't need the Celtic, redhead spotted Canaanite Phoenicians anymore, so let's annihilate them now, kick them out on an island, kick them off the continent of Europe, and put them on the small islands of Scotland and Britain and Ireland, eventually kick them off of Scotland and Britain and just leave them on Ireland, a little remnant of what was a vast civilization at one time of redhead spotted people that covered all of Europe, all the way into Persia, all the way into India. It's amazing if we only knew the true legacy of what has happened to us. So let me see. I have a few more highlights I want to just finish with, and maybe I'll back up to the quote out of my Fenton Bible real quick as well. So the temptation of the first man, the first Adam, began with the question, "Oh yeah, hath not God said?" When he told Eve, he says, "Did not God say that this or that?" I'm going to go to that in a minute. The temptation of the second man, the Lord of heaven, began with a similar question: "If you are to be the Son of God, then make this bread." And so, continuing on, it is written 3 times repeated that in his last ministerial words continued a similar threefold reference to the written word of God. Okay, I'm going to, because there's too much to read there, I'm going to just go to the Fenton Bible, and I'm just going to cap it off with that because it'll really put it in perspective. Hang on. Tell people what they're tuned into here, Ninja.
Okay, cool. And then can we open up to question time? I'm bursting with questions. Yeah.
They're tuned into, you're listening to,
the
I'm looking for
Forbidden History Chronicles with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series on YouTube.
Very good. All right.
Please go back and watch his live streams, June 21st, 2018. Yep.
Okay, and now I have found what I'm looking for, and it's in Ezekiel as chapter 28, and we're going to start in verse 1. Okay, and this is amazing because when I saw it, I already had all kinds of highlighting in here, knew there was something going on, but didn't get it till I had read one thing in particular, and I guess it was in Bullinger, and then it all came clear. So I'm going to start at the beginning again, and this is Ezekiel. He was banished to Babylon with the exile, and he was the star navigator of that period. Let me just take a sip of my drink here. And again, the message of the Yahweh came to me, and in this book, it's interesting because he's being consistently called son of Adam, meaning seed of Adam. You see, because it's about that lineage, and now because they've been annihilated, he's referring to him as that. Okay, here we go. So, son of Adam, I am proclaiming to the prince of is Tyr, but it's Azor. It's the prince of the sun. It's about the star ram. The prince. Here, Fenton had Zor, but it's Azor. Atzor. That is the sun, and then the light is Zoré. Zoré. The Azor is the sun, and what comes out is the Zoré. Okay, and I proclaim to the prince of Azor. He's a prince. He's not a king. Okay, the king is Yeshua, and the prince was Adam, and he came down from the light. Thus, this is what the one who sees in the fiery of the eye of return, Yahweh, breathes, because of the pride of your heart, Adam, because of the pride of your heart and your breathing, I am a Elohim. See, because he came from the light, he thought he was still, when he came down to earth, into the lower garden, that he was like, the arrogance of being better than everybody else, looking good, and having all the head knowledge. That was his problem, that ego that went along with it. And so he says, I am, here it says literally, I am a God, but we know it means I am a great Elohim. I sit with the great Elohim in my heart of the cosmic sea. I sit with the great Elohim in the heart of the cosmic sea. Well, the heart is the sun. He's in the garden of the atoms that are flowing down now to him. And yet you are an Ashon. You are a man, not a God. Although you have set your heart in the circle. Oh, and backing up to that point of where it says, I am a God. Now go to Genesis 3:5. And what did he say to Keva, to Eve? He says, no, he does know that when we do this thing, we will be like gods. We will be like Elohim. And that's what he meant here when he says, for the pride of your heart, and you're saying, we will be like Elohim. I am a God. I am Elohim. You see? That was the whole point, that he doesn't know when we do this thing, it's going to be okay, honey. Don't worry about it. Just trust me, And he lied to her. And so, continuing, although you have set your heart in the circle of the cosmic Elohim, however, or in the center of the sun is what that means. You have set your heart in the circle because that's where he was. But he came out of the circle down to earth, the lower garden. However, you are wiser than the focused light of the great Elohim. It's a question. They cannot hide any secret from you. Because he knew all about all the secrets now. You have made yourself powerful by your science, your sciences, your knowledge. That's what it should be, knowledge. And of your knowledge, and encircled yourself in treasures of gold and silver. You have traded, sold out, with your many sciences. You have increased your power. Your heart has risen with your power. Therefore, this is what breathes the one who sees in the fiery eye of the return, Yahweh, because you have set your heart like the heart of the great Elohim. I will bring a cruel, tyrannical nation against you, who will draw their sword against you, find sciences and spoil your splendor. And you will sink to death with a deadly wound in your heart of the sea. And you will assert before your murderers, I am a great Elohim. Yet you will be an Ashon, and not a great Elohim, to the hand wounding you. You will die in contempt, and you will die by the hand of a foreigner. For I, the ever-living, have decreed it. And so this is like a prediction now also of what happened to Israel, Yisrael. You see, so when he's talking to Adam, he's not really mad at Adam. It's the point that he's using Adam to create the storyline of what ultimately happens to this Aryan race. Because the same head trip that happened to Adam then happened to the Watchers. And then they fell. And then the same head trip then happens to Israel themselves. And they think they're better than everybody else. And, and then They ignore the commands of Yahweh, and so it's a repeating pattern, you know. And so to continue, and a second, okay, then the command of Yahweh came to me, Ezekiel, breathing, seed of Adam, son of Adam, raise up a lamentation over the Malik of Azor, over the royal messenger of the sun. Okay, it's not about some place on earth. It's about the great Elohim in the throne of the sun, and breathe to him. This is what the one who sees in the fiery eye of the return, Yahweh, breathes. Okay, so it's like the decree is coming out of the sun, and this is the lamentation, and it's called the lamentation of Tyr in Fenton, but that's a code. That's how they switched out the words, because it's the lamentation of the Azor, and that is the sun, because it's about the fallen light. And he says, you were the perfect symbol of creation. That's Adam. You were the perfect symbol of creation, full of knowledge and spotless in beauty. You once were in the atom of the garden of the great Elohim. Every atom that is precious was fastened upon you. That's what we're made of, right? The atoms. Ruby, and so these are symbols, just symbols. Ruby, topaz, and diamond, and the beryl, the onyx, were made of the mineral salts of the earth, and the atomic metal is in us. Sapphire, emerald, and opal, and casings of gold, they were made and set on you the day you were born. We are the supreme creation in this entire universe, friends, of course, by our very own makeup as sentient beings, with our intellect as well. Continuing. And you are the cherub, the cherubim, the red fire. That's what it means, the red fire. The bright protector. He was supposed to be a light for the world. And sit on the hill that is sacred to the great Elohim. You walk in the center of the bright flaming jewel. You walked in the center of the bright flaming jewel. That's a metaphor for the sun. You were perfect in your path from the day of your formation until below yourself the corruption was formed. Till their trading filled your breast, the trade-off, filled your breath with extortion and wrong. So I throw you out from the great mountain of Zion, the Elohimic state, and send you and I sent you a guardian spirit. Oh, and I sent you a guardian spirit from among the bright gems. That's his counterpart. That's Keva, a guardian spirit. It said that she was to be a helpmate. And what did he say when he first woke up? When he woke up from the fall into the lower garden, he wakes up and says, "Oh, look at you. You're Keva. You are the mother of all living." How could she be the mother of all living when she came last? Because she represents the great Elohim, the light of the sun, the beautiful light. And continuing, so I'll back up on that one again, and sent you a guardian spirit from among the bright gems. For your beauty, your heart rose, and your science, and the science is what? The words, because he named everything. Your science, the words were corrupted. Your science was corrupted. Your words were corrupted. The science of your words were corrupted. Isn't that what the foundation of everything we're talking about here, Ninja? They corrupted. There is no Indo-Germanic book we can get that has correctly given us the primal original form, because it's all controlled by universities and publishing houses and Zion/Vatican rule, Jesuit rule. They will not allow the true story out. So that science of the pure form of diction, the Eshavor, the original term, in the beginning was the word in English. In the beginning is the logo in the Greek, and the correct terminology is in the beginning, is the Aisha Bor, the royal eye of the center, the royal eye of the vortex, the beginning. In the beginning is the communicative essence that was corrupted. Notwithstanding your splendor, I flung you to the earth from the atom, and so before the Malachim I cast you, before kings I cast you down, to show that you are what you really are. Your great passion for gain deeply wounded your virtues. So I bring the fire upon you, consuming yourself, the fires, the passion, the lower passion, the desires that can never be filled or fulfilled. And on earth lays your ashes. There's, in the sight of onlookers, all nations who knew you will shudder below you, because they were on the mountain of Zion. And that's again now symbolic of Israel, Yisrael. You have been a terror, but you will be a terror no more. And then it continues on. But that's the that great epic slice right there that Fenton did a great job of bringing us. So it's the epic, it's the saga of what nobody is talking about, Ninja. Nobody gets it, you know, because the cover has been so great. The cover up, you know, the transformation of our words, the control of our scriptures, the control of the narrative, you know, all of it. It's all been corrupted. And how do you get back home if somebody has changed all the words on your map, your road map? How do you go back home, right?
Exactly. And that's what I was getting at. That brings us back to the start, full circle, back to the start of this program when I was referring to the V. The V is a symbol. It's part of the words that have been corrupted. Yeah. There you go.
Right. Well, they corrupted it with a W and with a B. The V is represented by the W primarily, and also the letter B. So whenever you see those letters, put a V in there, and you're probably closer to the original. It's a bit of a science.
Yeah.
You know, and just like the word Pharisee, I just confirmed because I'm studying the Aramaic, and even the word Pharisee, which is a word I have no love for, but yet the Pharisee is actually the Pharesha. Pharesha is in the word Pharisee, and so that's out of Etheridge's Aramaic translation from 1845. Pharesha. So they were carrying the word of Aisha, the royal eye, within them. The Pharesha. So the far, and they're far away. So it still fits, and they are still the Phareshaim, the Phareshaim. You know, but so I was going to cap off about 20, and if there's any comments or questions, certainly I'll be glad to entertain them. And I know if you're hearing this program for the first time, you may be, needing to listen to this several times to get it. If because nobody, these are what we're talking about is what nobody talks about, and it's the deeper science. It's the science of the original thought, going back, bypassing the Greek, bypassing the Hebrew, because that's controlled by the priesthood of mankind, and that's where they got us on the loop, on the merry-go-round. They're not the authority. They are the diversion. They are the gatekeepers. And that's what Yeshua said they were in the scriptures, that you have the keys of knowledge, and you're not letting anybody go in, and you're not going in either. And so the keys. And so what did he tell Kefe when he says, who do people say I am? And he was speaking to the 12. And Kefe said, you are the Mashiach, the one who was to come. So he said, when he said to them, he said to all of them, I give you the keys to open up the great mystery. So it's about having the keys. If you don't have the keys, you can't turn on the car. You can't go anywhere. And so we got people, memorizing scripture and saying Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. And yet they don't know. They're under the biggest form of mind control that ever existed on the planet, because religion is the biggest mind control next to politics itself. And whoever controls your words controls your thinking, and the words are controlled outside the Vatican at the place called the College of Abbreviators, run by the Jesuit Curii. They put the cure in your eye. So let's read. And by the way, are there any questions, Ninja, that
I have a few, and I can scroll up. Also, I just want to add to that. I've just opened up your dictionary, and it says science. The one most important. The one blew that. The one most important science in the world is communication. By Dezert-Owl.
The most important science in the world is communication. That's right.
Yeah.
Without being able to communicate, we can do nothing.
And so it makes sense that that's where everything goes back to, right back to the beginning with the communication. It just makes sense that it all started there. Yeah. Okay, I've been wanting to jump in and say this one for a while. But I also love it when you get on a roll. We're talking about time. We're talking hour. We're talking about hour, and you defined it as or. Is that right? O-O-R, or.
Okay, start the sentence again. You kind of got broke up.
Hour. The word hour, and you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you said it's or, as in O-O-R.
It's O-R's. So it's
O-R.
O-apostrophe O-A-R-S. O-R's.
Oh, okay. Because the first time you mentioned it to me, because I didn't see it, only heard it, it made me think of orb, which made me think of orbit, which is time related, which made me think of a circle, and loop, time loop. The beginning is the end is the beginning, and it also made me think of orbs as in gaseous orbs like Jupiter and Saturn, and you mentioning that they play an important part somehow. I'm just seeing connections, that's all. So yeah. So so any thoughts on that would be great. But yeah, orb, that's where that started.
Okay, well then, if there's no questions, we'll go on to the
I'm still looking.
definition for twin, because this is when we're dealing with the duality, then we have
Desert.
to yeah.
Just let me scroll. I'm still looking. I'd like to welcome Riles to the chat. He's an old friend. He's one of the first people I made friends with in live chats when I first plucked up the courage just over a year ago. Yeah, so he's joined us. He's cool. And he's very interested. He's sitting back and he's listening. I'm just trying to find a nice comment. He said, "Tell the young man reading thank you. I'll sit back and just listen a while." He's got a cat called Gidget, and Gidget the cat says hi to Ninja Cat. I just had to add that. Yeah, so he's sitting back listening. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, let me. If you end up with a question or a comment, or then we can pick it up after this definition. I'll go through this definition on twins, and because it's relative to the duality. And representations of the and here's a Latin word then, sacrificium metricum. Okay, in the representations of the sacrificium metricum, the two dataphore, Keroutes and Katophetes, are very frequently shown, and I'm not going to even try to look up these words right now. I'm just trying to get past it for the rest of the definition. One with his torch pointing upwards, and the other with his torch turned downwards. And we know the torch is relevant because we see the torch, of course, on Columbia. She's holding the torch. The Statue of Liberty holds the torch, and the torch seems to be related to the Teutonic Knights, and they would be the torch on the woman. Okay? And and the other turned down. One is lighted up, and the other is extinguished. Kuman considers that they symbolize life and death. Sometimes one, Daedalus, has the head of a bull, and the other that of a scorpion, confirming Kuman's conclusion. They also signify the two essential aspects of the sun, its alternate appearance and disappearance, day and night. A careful study of the primitive traditions of the mythologies of the more advanced cultures has enabled us to draw the conclusion that most of them incorporate the symbol of the twins, such as the Vedic Asvins, or Aeshavins, Mithra, and Varuna, Liber, and Libra, Romulus, and Remus, Isis, and Osiris, the male-female, Apollo and Artemis, Castor and Pollux, Amphion and Zethus, or Arion and Orion. On some occasions, the addition of a third figure, brother or sister, permits further associations. For example, Castor and Helen, or Osiris and Set. They are always mythic beings born of an immortal father and a mortal mother. Now I relate you to also with Yeshua when he named Thomas, right? We have a guy called Thomas, one of the 12, but correctly it would be Toma. And Toma was called the twin. And of course, when you take the A at the latter end of Toma and put it at the beginning, you get the atom. And because the word is not twin, it is actually duplicate. It is about the duplication. And so the code is right there, and Yeshua was even referring to this. Okay, the respective characteristics of their parents expressed in the landscape symbolism by the dualism of the mountains representing the great light above, and the valley or the water representing the earth, are not fused in their offspring but discrete. Thus one brother may be a fierce hunter like Esau, and another a peaceful shepherd like Jacob. Okay, or we can talk about Abel and Cain. Even though they were not literal twins, they were the duality that was being expressed. In some, these beings are usually beneficent deities, though the influence of totemism, or of animalistic symbolism, they appear fairly often in the symbolic guise of animals, as birds. The myth of Oviparus, human birth, is parallel manifestation of this, or as lions, that is the wild lion and the tame lion, or the lion versus the leopard, a day or night, or as and the leopard, of course, is spotted, by the way, and the horses, one white, one chestnut, or the other black. The twin Indians, Ashwins or Asvins, are depicted in this latter form, one light and the other in darkness, as if the chariot they draw is ever running along the borderline of the dusk. But most commonly, one of the twins signifies the eternal side of Aishon, of man, his inheritance from the celestial father, as a reflection of the higher demos, or the higher marriage, or in short, his soul. and the other twin indicates the mortal side. Whereas I've talked in the past, there's two of us, and one has to die so the other can live. And that's the great mystery. The one of the lower has to die and surrender for the higher. However, they also symbolize the counterbalancing principles of light and darkness, good and evil. And hence the twins are portrayed as mortal enemies. This is what lies behind the Mitzrayim or Egyptian myth of Osiris and Set, and the Persian myth of Ahura Mazda and Agamemnon or Ahriman, as well as the Iroquois myth of Hawaiian and Hengoshika, and the Slav myth of Bilbog and Chernobog or Zekhnobog, the white god and the black god. And then we could talk about sun and moon, because sun and moon represent this in the most primordial sense. Since the light principle is usually allied with the darkness in one way or another, the principle, because they are working in tandem and everything serves the divine, the principle of light has to fall back upon aesthetic spirituality. It follows then that in order to achieve immortality, it is essential to accept the maxim, deny thyself. In India, such duality is precisely exemplified in the two names of Atman, or individual soul, and Brahman, or world soul. Up to the point the world soul then would be the sun, actually, in that sense, the Brahm. It's where we see the word Abraham, Abraham, because he represents the light of the sun. That's the soul of the world that keeps us going. Without the soul of the sun, the world is dead. Same with you. Without your soul, your body is dead. Up to the point, they are pantheistic in tendency. Friedrich Nietzsche exactly described the mystic message implied in this partial negation necessary for the salvation of the spiritual essence of man, with his advice: cast into the abyss that which lies most heavily upon you. Let man forget. Divine is the art of forgetting. If you would raise yourself, if you yourself would dwell among the heights, cast into the sea that which lies most heavily upon you. Be done with it. Yet Nietzsche, as a Westerner, does not succeed in escaping from himself. So that's the definition of that, and it's all in a mystery, and it's but with that we also see it's in the zodiac. Yeah. We have the zodiac, which is has the twins and the Gemini. So it's interesting that it happens right at the the period of the most beautiful part of the year, which is May, and so it's expressive of that cycle that is continuing with life and death cycle, coming and going, light and darkness, and because the irony of what this world presents when on the physical level is that anything that has a beginning has an end. Yeah. But the spirit that where our spirit comes from is eternal, and so our spirit is eternal, where our physical nature is temporal, and so that's why it's important to identify with the spirit of life, and then to put on that spirit and to be clothed in the spirit of light and fulfilled. And the only way to do that is to recognize the world as an illusion, and to deny thyself from the things that would kill us, which are would be a death to the spirit. So we have to look at things from that perspective, and of course the scriptures are there to guide us along that journey. So it's a deep path, and most people are just in the shallow waters of the bay, and they never go out into the deep ocean, and think that somehow without knowledge and just by believing whatever that word means to them, because believe from the Latin means to give little credit to something, they think they have salvation when they still do all the things that are contrary within the world. and we have to put off the things of the world and be set free from them. And that's the great mystery, the true freedom. Or as one of the scriptures says in the writings they took from us, that a true freeman is one who is free from having his eyes closed, which is set free from sin. But of course, that was the real meaning of sin is to have your eyes closed. That's why you missed the mark. That's why you can't shoot the arrow and hit the target. And so by having your eyes open, then you are free. And there's only one sovereignty, whereas, when I was in the political movement, as we see with that Forbidden History catalog I did back in 1997, at the time, we were all talking about sovereignty. I'm a sovereign. You can't arrest me. You can't, and the truth was they did it anyway. They beat you over the head. They shot you with the gun, whatever they wanted to do to you. So we were looking at in America, which was a fraud anyway from the beginning, and that's the thing that most people couldn't really wake up to, the fact that it was all a scam, and they pretended freedom while they enslaved us all, and they waged the wars, the Civil War, and slaughtered more young men than practically any other time in history to some degree. They talked about sovereignty and freedom when it was really another version of another scam of slavery that was to run itself out over a 200-year process. Or when America was first discovered by Columbus, it started the 500-year cycle instituted by Francis Bacon, which was the New Atlantis, following the mythology of the Phoenix, that is under a 500-year cycle that they bring up civilizations and they take them down very typically over 500-year cycles. If you look at history, you'll see that. But they're the ones who are always controlling, the game, and it says that every 500 years the Phoenix flies back to Maitzar, which is falsely called Egypt, burns up in ashes. That's what they're about to do to us. And out of the ashes comes another serpent. And the next serpent that's coming up, of course, is China, just like you kind of helped us to see further what the plan is for this new, this next China being Cana, another word for Cana or the garden or Cain, depending upon how you want to look at it. So,
infiltration from the inside. Yep. Sorry.
What's that?
Infiltration from the inside. That's exactly what they're doing.
Well, they control all ends. So it's the only one that's the outsider is us.
Yeah.
There's no real infiltration.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no real conspiracy like with these politicians, because it's always been their game.
Yeah.
It never was ours. That's the secret. And so the only true sovereignty, the point I'm trying to make here, there's only one sovereignty, and that is with the sovereign who made the universe. And if one can be tight with him and be a part of his realm, the invisible realm, and separate from this world and have their eyes open, don't close them again, you can be set free and sovereign with the sovereign. Then it won't matter whether they drag your body away or where they put you, because you'll have an experience and a connection that will transform you on the inside, and it really won't matter to you anymore. And that's why the primitive that were taken to the lions and burned alive at the stake, they did it with a smile on their face, because they were having a profound vision at that moment and were immune to the pain that they were suffering. And we see this in the classic stories, and Fox's Book of Martyrs is one of the best ones to read for that, of course. That's basically what I was trying to point out, that there is good news, but it's not of this world. This is not our world, and people are trying to hold on and fix the broken wheel, and can't wrap their mind around the fact that the wheel does not belong to them. And that the idea is to get off the cart, the Apple cart.
Yeah. Thank you.
By going inward, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that the tug of war that I've been having, I guess, between light and dark, to put it the most simple way, has brought me closer to the light. I made a video. It was the practice live stream that I did the other night. I just randomly just made it in, was trying out the desktop while I was practicing the live stream, and here's an example. Here's an example of the transformation. I was explaining about the sky as per usual, with the holograms and things, and there was a really good one that looked like it looked like the second coming in the sky, and it was on Dabu 777 channel, and he even said Yeshua. He said, "Is this Yeshua, the second coming, or is it Blue Beam?" And so I decided to make a video on it, and said, not as well as what you just said it, but said what you said. If you're looking towards this light in the sky that's, you know, been completely manipulated, and you're looking outwards, you're focusing outwards, and you think that Yeshua is going to save you when you're focusing on that. I can't remember exactly how I said it, but anyway, you're looking in the wrong direction. You need to look inwards at the inner light. That's where it is. Yeah, so I said that on my video, and I think that's the first time I've explained it pretty well. Yeah. Which is not how I didn't explain it very well just then, but anyway.
Don't spoil it. It's a secret light. It's hidden.
Yeah.
Because the royalty is hidden. Because just like, you know, how people use profanity and they'll say, you know, Jesus Christ or God this or God that, you know, and they'll use the profanity. But remember, these are not the words that belong to the sacred, because those are the corruptions. And therefore they never use the sacred names in profane ways. And that's also a part of the mystery. So they're using for profanity the
fake
occultic
words.
version of our Redeemer. And so that is a part of that great mystery as well, that he's hiding. He's right in front of everyone, but yet nobody can see him. And then all of a sudden the veil comes away from your eyes, and you see him for the first time once you purify your heart and your mind, and you are willing to do what it is that he suggests you do within the scriptures, you know, and to be transformed. And so there's also a scripture that is in the I believe it's in the Nag Hammadi of the Gospel of Thomas, and it says, if people tell you that the kingdom of heaven is in the sky, don't go there, because you know, the birds must be preceding you. If they say to you the kingdom of heaven is under the water, then the fish will go before you. If they say that the kingdom of heaven is in the secret chamber, in the secret societies, in other words, is what it meant, the secret societies, don't go there, because the kingdom of heaven is found within you. It's found within you. And so that's it. But yet it is all. But then he says, but yet it is all around you. You see, that's why when Moses went to see the fiery tree, not the fiery bush, it was a fiery tree, and he was told to take off your sandals because you're on pure ground. Then the same thing was said to Joshua, as he was going into the promised land, and he saw the royal Malak, standing before him, and he says, "Are you for us or against us?" He didn't know who he was, and he says, "Take off your sandals. You are standing on pure ground." And so we are on a world that is pathetically corrupt, while at the same time it is still pure ground, because the world that is pure is here in the great mystery. We talked about the duality, and so we have the symbols telling us we're in a duality, because we have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. And so it's telling us by the fabric of nature that here there are two worlds. You can have your choice. You can only be in one or the other. You cannot be in both of them. You see?
I'm also seeing that people are misinterpreting the part that I don't know if this is the words are accurate, quoting today's Bible, referring to signs in the sky. There will be signs in the sky. People are misinterpreting that as well, with the looking outwards and expecting to be saved from up there. They're using I don't know how to explain it. Like, they're seeing the signs in the sky and they're completely misinterpreting it. The signs in the sky are telling us the complete opposite. I don't know how. I'm not very good at explaining. You know that.
All right. Well, let me jump in on that, because it goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning.
It's a warning. It's like a warning. Yeah. Anyway.
There's a lot of these great researchers that are out there doing important work, and Dabu is one of them. I used to watch his stuff all the time.
He puts up some really cool stuff.
Did little short. I like the fact that he did little short clips on important issues, but yet he's and you know what? He never ever responded to me. I emailed him over and over trying to get an interview with him, or just to talk to him. I just wanted to. I wanted to unload on him what I had dedicated a lifetime when he was studying all this political stuff. I was going to help get him up to speed if he wanted to talk, but he never responded back, so I gave up on that. But the point is, so he still studies the political illusions. He does some great stuff, that is newsworthy, but at the same time, he's still following the illusion of the political beast state that is the drama they want to be caught up in. And at the same time, then he's posing the question, is this the second coming? That answers my point that that unless one will stop looking at the illusions and start opening the books and looking at what they've stolen from us, the lost writing, the library,
he remains
of
impartial
literature that they have taken from us.
Yeah.
If they won't, that they won't stop to be still and to go inward, then in the end, because this whole question about the second coming, what part of rising from the dead don't they get as being the second coming? What better comeback can you have than rising from the dead? And are you telling me my Redeemer is not here when he's been speaking to me all my life?
Yeah.
And giving me visions and dreams and saving my life over and over through dramatic situations as a political activist? Plus,
Well, I can back you up. I know you're real, and I know you're telling the truth, because I can now confirm that, because I know he's here. I know we're not waiting for him to come, and anything else external is false. It's false light, completely false. I know he's here because I've felt him. I've felt the light.
Yes.
Several times.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't say he's here and then he's coming back.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because what he taught us when he nailed himself to the tree was that the flesh is the illusion, and you have to nail it to the tree of eternity, and to surrender as a sacrifice, and to serve the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit, and because we are spirit, and therefore his coming back is as spirit when we are ready to receive him, because the axiom is that he comes.
Yes.
The one who came back comes when you are ready to receive him, and not before.
Yeah.
He's always ready.
Exactly.
The Spirit
He's
is
already
ready.
here. He's just waiting for us, not the other way around. We're not waiting for him. He's waiting for us.
Right.
Yeah. See, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his patience is great, because he's been making the universe for billions of years, and therefore he's in no hurry for nothing, and he's hoping that within our short span of life we can figure this great mystery out and look to him, be totally dependent on him and not on the illusion. Like man is going to save us somehow, Man isn't going to save us. They're liars.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
So was there anything, any other questions, Ninja? Anything real quick? And I feel like I've talked myself out today, and we've covered enough ground.
It was good.
I want to hold everybody down.
It was good. It was good to be back. Doing the Chronicles, Desert. I'm just looking at the chat. When you get on a roll, I don't don't look at the chat, otherwise I get distracted. I saw a comment from Lynn a fair way back. Hour. When you're talking about hour, where is it? Horus. Question marks. Hour. Horus.
Yeah, Horus represents the hours. He was in battle with Osiris. They were the twins in the duality of one is against the other because the clock is ticking. And so the Horus represents the hours that are ticking away as the Osiris, as the sun is passing through the sky and about to set. They're set, okay? Also, as in our scriptures, he's known as Seth. You know, Seth, because he's the sheep. Seth is really the sheep, and it is where the flaming sword goes into the sheep. It goes down, and then but yet it comes back around again. So it's the continual mythology of the storyline of of nature. It's a mythology of nature that is speaking about relationship, within our cosmos. That's what it is. So it's the same in the Greek. They're telling it in these Greek mythologies. The same thing about creation. There's too much to study and not enough time, And I'm just glad that I have seen the scriptures. I like this quote here. Let me just say the whole truth. All assumptions are wrong. You must remember. Oh boy, you clicked that one off too fast, Ninja. That was on for 5 seconds. How are you going to read that?
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, there it is. It's back. Wait a minute. Hold on. All assumptions are wrong. You must remember that in the intelligence world, every truth is part of a lie, and every lie is based on some truth. If you try to separate the two, you will only wind up confused and frustrated. If you are an outsider, you will slowly learn that there is no separation of the two. The lies and the truth are just two of the many sides of the same ever-flipping coin. If you are an insider, you will slowly and often painfully learn that sometimes the coin lands by chance, sometimes it lands, the way it lands is rigged by you'll never know whom, and that sometimes there's not even a coin at all. If you are lucky and work hard, you will find some of the truth. If you are lucky and work really hard, you might find the whole truth as someone wants you to know it. And if you are phenomenally lucky, you will really and work your tail off. You might even go on to find the whole real truth. But no outsider, and in fact very few insiders ever learn the whole real truth. And that was the former intelligence officer voice at Mission Control that I was working with when I stumbled into the Patriot community. He's the one who did my typesetting for me, and I figured out he was really working both sides. They produce our materials for us, and at the same time they help us dig our grave. And so I found out. It took me 10 years to figure out a lot of it. This is a deep thing. Like his own quote was, another quote he had was, any group bigger than 3 people has already been infiltrated, you see. And so, yeah. And so he was very smart and new.
Yeah.
And they're all on one level. They're all good old boys. They're all good people. You can talk to them, have a beer, sit down with them. But in the end, many of these people are on a paycheck, and so they'll be your friend, and then ultimately they'll sell you out. And I've seen it over and over, and so no, I don't have any association with them anymore. And it's a long journey of discovery, and that ever still flipping coin, by the way, you could see in if anybody watches the movie Constantine, and after the very beginning of the movie where Keanu Reeves does the exorcism on a young girl, and the mirror flies out the window, and then when he comes down the stairs, there's a guy standing next to the railing on the stair landing as Keanu is going down, and he's flipping a coin over his knuckles.
Yep.
You see?
I can picture that scene.
The zoot suit represents Freemasonry and the secret societies, and the ever-flipping coin on his knuckles means you never know which way the coin is going to land. And then you see that other priest that had a drinking problem, had a confidence problem, that ultimately he died in the bar, or not the bar, but in the liquor store. He tried drinking the alcohol to satisfy his desire to forget it all, because he was a secret society Jesuit operative that was involved in psychopathic behavior while pretending to be, love you, Jesus loves you, yes I know. You see, so you never know which way the coin is going to land, and if you can't handle your alcohol and you can't handle being a part of the elite echelon of psychopathism, then maybe your coin's going to land tails. You're out, you know. And so that's the ever-flipping coin, because, in other words, there's no honor among thieves. And even when you thought you were an insider, you might find yourself an outsider, and you may go down in the Twin Towers with like those other Masonic firemen who went in there, you know, who thought the Brotherhood would protect them, but then they were sold out by the Brotherhood. They couldn't get out quick enough, you know. So they'll kill their own, you know. That the end justifies the means, and there's no, you know. So it's just like I guess the other final example would be the captain of the Titanic, you know, who was a Jesuit adjutant, took the blood oath, and had his career made by you know, being in that key position, and then in the end, he's told to commit suicide and to take down the wealthy of America, who would be in opposition to a centralized bank, in the Federal Reserve Bank in America, and all the wealthy that were brought onto the ship, the Warburgs, the Vanderlifts, whoever, all got a free ticket to go on the maiden voyage of the unsinkable ship, and it was all built to be taken down, just like the Twin Towers. So there you go, Ninja. It's a psychopathic world, and it's not our world, and there's nothing here for us. Nothing. We are eternal beings in a day without end, and we have to be right and put on the light before it ends. Okay, so hats off to you for producing the work here today and allowing the word to get out, and we'll look for you on Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time here in America. And what is that time down under?
I think it will be 12:30 a.m. Thursday. I think.
Oh, right. I think you're right. You got it right, I think. Okay.
Until April, when we change time. Then we'll have to figure it out again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And all the best to our friends out there that are tuning in. Everybody has a challenge in front of them within their own personal walk. You know, everybody's got their own struggle, and I keep those who know, you know, in my prayers, including yourself, Ninja, for your situation,
Thank you.
But we together can bring ourselves to the next level, so keep looking up and keep reading, okay? And we'll talk to you in a few days. Peace and love, everybody.
Hang on 1 second. You still there? I just saw Ya Love's comment in the chat. I just had to tell you. It's what I was reading last night. It was one of the ones I was reading last night. I read it. It's exactly what I was reading. I was reading Peter last night. And then when my eyes got too tired, I put the funny voice on my computer to read it for me as I fell asleep. And it's right there in the chat. Yeah, Love just wrote it there. That's cool. That is so cool.
Only thing is, his name is not Peter. His name is not Peter. It's Cafe, and that was the switch out by the Vatican. And so there you go again. There's you know, because he had to represent the Father. It's a spin on the word Father, not rock, but it's Father, because it represents the Pope. They claim he was the first Pope. You know, give me a break. And so they had to do switch. That's one of the words changed in our scriptures that we were talking about. And but it's okay. The story is still good. The words are still good in there to.
It was the Fenton version, the Fenton Bible. I've only got that on the computer. Sorry.
1 John 2:27. The truth is not a part of any lie, and therefore, when we can find all the lies, then we can clearly see the truth, and that's part of the great mystery as well. So keep turning those pages, looking for the lies, and then the truth will shine through. And we're doing an important transliteration project, the original thought transliteration project, and certainly we welcome any support. We have a lot of work in front of us, and we need support. So if you want to be involved, I'll be able to then present on the program very shortly the transliterations. I'll be reading them on air as we are drafting them, and then we'll put these books in hard copy in each book by itself. That way people can get it on PDF or on we can ultimately print hard copies. Won't get it to people in prison. And but the truth is stranger than fiction, and it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here, as you know, Ninja. So peace and love. Hey, shalom to all people out there listening in, and love to hear from you anytime. Feel free to give us a call. We'll see you.
See you, Desert. Thank you. Okay. Yes. Desert just said it all. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining the chat. Shelley, yeah, I know. I just see a comment. Father is speaking to you. There's been a few moments like that this week. It seems I hit rock bottom and I have the most powerful connections at the same time. It's amazing. Anyway, you heard it here first on the Forbidden History Chronicles with Ninja Cat 111 and Dezert-Owl. And we'll see you again on Sunday, your time. Monday morning, my time. Same time as usual. 9:30 American time. Okay. Love you all. Be safe. And I'll see you guys later. And I'm just looking for the right screen